Hi, I'm Vanessa Vergara. Some people call me Vani. I am an advocate of the ocean. I used to have a corporate job, a 9 to 5 job, but I decided to leave and focus my efforts on the conservation of the seas of the Philippines.
Well, I think you forgot to mention that people also refer to you as Manila's mermaid, right?
Really? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean,
That was good. So, yeah, I guess just awareness-wise, like just not a whole lot of people, I guess, are really aware of the plastic pandemic that the Earth has been in for a long time before we entered this COVID pandemic. I guess, do you personally remember like the first moment that like you realized pollution was a big issue, or the first moment that rang true for you?
okay, so actually, since I was younger, I wanted to be a marine biologist. But sometimes life happens and you end up taking up a business course and you end up in a different career. But that still doesn't stop you from doing your passion, right? So you end up trying to do scuba diving on the weekends, volunteering for some, projects you see online and everything, but nothing hardcore. What happened was I was 25 and I was in the middle of my career as a PR executive. And what happened is on one of my weekends, I decided to join one of the cleanups and one of the teams from a marine station here in Batangas. And when I joined the project, it was so simple. Actually, they called me up because they needed some divers to volunteer and watch the scientists, and conduct some safety and everything. And as I watched the scientists do their experiment, they were going through the coral reefs. Everything for me was so beautiful. And I was like, wow, can't believe I'm so lucky that I can do this in the weekend. And that this just literally a drive away from the city. And then when we got on land, the scientists had a meeting, like how to debrief. And the scientists were like, this coral reef, I'm gonna give it 6 months and it's gonna be completely dead. And I was like, what? What do you mean? Like, I literally just fell in love with it and you're gonna tell me it's gonna die? So they're like, yeah, I mean, there's a golf club getting built on the other side, all the fertilizers going down. The summers are too hot, it's starting to bleach, global warming, and all these things. So 6 months is actually a safe number to say that it won't, and it for sure 100% it won't last a year. So I was like, what the hell? I mean, it's the first time I saw this reef, and then next time I come back, like next year, it's not gonna be back. So I started thinking, and right on the same day, I don't know if it's fate or something, before sleeping, I was on Netflix, and Netflix had this banner that said, okay, it's just like a preview of the documentary Chasing Coral. So I was like, okay, let me click on that. So I watched it and I learned that 50% of all coral reefs in the world have died in the past 30 years. And I was just like, 30, I'm 25. So basically the 25 years I was spending living my life, all of these things were dying and they were just in our fingertips. And imagine, he went on a beach trip to, let's say, Boracay or Palawan, and whatever you saw that summer, it's a big chance you won't see it the next year. So I said, you know what? I've done so many things in my career, and I kind of want to use the skills I've learned in marketing and PR to help this cause. Because if this happened in the span of 25 years for me, well, 30 years, what's going to happen if I continue to wait for myself to retire, and by that time there won't be anything to save? So I quit. Yeah,
that's crazy. Especially, I guess it doesn't, a lot of people can't really picture it because they don't see it, but like 50% in 30 years, like what if 50% of trees died like in 30 years? Just like how like massive of a number that is. That's crazy. But
and, we have this mindset that I want to, especially growing up, like I want to do this career, run this business, do all these things. And then when I retire and when I'm contented or when I'm successful, I am going to give back. But then they don't realize that the time that they've lost in between, and that, what, if you just try hard enough, there's a possibility to do both at the same time, career and passion. So, why not?
Yeah, exactly. They're not mutually exclusive. So kudos to you for applying your skill set in such a righteous manner.
I think it's just Yeah. Yeah. Now you guys are doing the same thing too. So at least
well, we're at the very beginning of it. You've been proving yourself for quite some time, and
really, I mean, I think this whole thing, conservation and sustainability is a journey. For me, I think we could be in the same part of still in the beginning, because I feel like to be more sustainable is kind of like being on a diet, and especially now during lockdown, everyone knows what diets are like. Some people are doing water fasts. No, but really, it's like you can't just give up rice and cut it out right away. You gotta slowly, let's say, half a cup, 1/4 cup, and then give up the carbs and everything. Because the moment you just cut everything, you're gonna go back and do the same bad habits right away. And same with sustainability, and that's what I'm trying to help with my friends and the people I work with and everything. That, you know, it's a journey. They can't say like, oh, Vani, you know, I'm really trying, but I'm not there yet. I think we're all trying to do it together, because at one point, they're gonna start giving up plastic straws and moving to Strawng and other more sustainable products is actually the first step, which is perfect. And you know, when they realize how much help they're doing, they're gonna move on to, let's say, tumblers, and they're gonna be watching the products they use, they buy, and you know, it's really just a journey together. So yeah.
Couldn't agree more. Everybody needs those first initial baby steps, and then just making it a habit and riding that momentum.
Yeah.
I guess going back a little bit to when you said, you know, you kind of met that coral and then had your love ripped away from you right away, saying it's gonna die. You're in the water all the time. Can you, like, have you noticed an actual difference, just say like in the past decade, the last 10 years alone?
Yeah, actually, both good and bad news in the Philippines. Let's make it small scale for now. I've been diving the same dive spot here in Calatagan for the whole lockdown. So it's like about 8 weeks soon, 6 to 7 weeks. Anyways, slowly with the change of the wind and the currents, I've been cleaning the trash on shore and underwater every day, and every day more trash just keeps coming and coming until just a few days ago, a storm came, and the storm decided that, you know what, I think she's been cleaning the beach enough. It just took away all the trash and on the beach and then swept it to the other side. And like, you know, it's just because the other side was the one throwing all the trash. So yeah, I could see that the more I've been cleaning, taking away the plastic around the same corals and everything, I could see it growing already. I mean, I thought it would take a while for things to recover when I take off like ghost nets that are wrapped around, and then sometimes I see even like fish and other creatures stuck in these plastics and ghost nets and everything. But when I come back maybe like a week or 2 weeks later, I'm like, wow, look at this. There's an anemone and a baby Nemo already. You know, all we had to do, somebody just had to take off just a little bit, and nature heals itself. It just needs a little bit of help. So that's good. Bad news is there are a lot of places that aren't lucky enough to have a storm help it out, or like or is filled with tourists that aren't really being taken care of. So an example would be Bohol, an island in the Visayas. It used to be so pristine, and turtles, maybe when you go underwater, it would be like 10 at one point. Now you see like people actually trying to chase the turtle, grabbing them and everything, and it's supposed to be a protected area. And you know, I guess it really depends on the place. Yeah,
it's tough. And I guess at a certain point, almost like, are we constantly playing catch up, like cleaning up? And I mean, I think eventually it just has to come from the source, right? Like, even if we had like everybody outside, like with pure as hard as you, like cleaning up all the time, like if it just keeps coming in a continual stream, we have to almost flip something there.
Yeah, well, actually, so places here in the Philippines, it used to be like Tubataha. It used to be not protected. So a lot of people in my team have been diving that place for more than 30 years. And they're telling me now that you know what, 30 years ago, you're underwater, you could hear all the bombs, you could see all the corals destroyed and everything. And then 30 years later, whale sharks came back, tiger sharks, hammerheads. You know, there is hope. It just needs like a little push back. And another example would be, I don't know if you saw the news, but one of the big ships ran aground there. And everyone was saying it would take 50 years for that reef to come back. It literally like scraped the entire, like an island-sized reef away, just smushed it. They took the rangers there took the ship out as soon as possible, and 4 years later, the reef is already growing back, and it's almost at its peak. So I think like it just needs a little bit of humans' help, and yeah, but yeah, there is hope. There's still hope.
Yeah, awesome. I guess next question up, with all of this trash when it's washing up on the shore day in, day out and everything like that, the majority of it is unfortunately single-use plastics. So what do you think is the biggest misconception people might have about single-use plastics, and maybe how important it is to raise awareness of it, especially specifically here in the Philippines?
Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna tweak your question a little bit, and I'm gonna say that I think it's more important for people to understand plastics properly. I mean, from single use to the reusable ones, because let's be honest, almost every single product that we've touched in our lives or use every day has gone through plastics or touched it and everything. It's because it's part of like the normal progress of human technology. But the thing is, not all plastics are bad. It's just single-use ones, and the ones that can definitely be replaced, like again, single-use plastic straw to rice straw.
Yeah.
But
Easy,
no, but really, yeah, and you know, I working in this industry, I thought that, you know, because I work around a lot of people who know about the difference of good and bad plastic, that I assumed a lot of people don't. And this lockdown giving me a opportunity to spend time with some of the fisher folk and the farmers here. You know, they treat the same plastic the same way. They're still burning styrofoam. They're still doing all these things. And then I go, wait, no, it's actually bad for your health what you're doing. But in their head, they think they're helping. So, you know, I think we all just got to take a step back and say, you know what, this type of plastic is good. We use it for, let's say, home use, and it lasts this long. But we need to learn about the plastics that are bad, which are single-use ones, and of course, the ones that are poisonous, like the PVCs and everything. So I think that's the first step for everyone. Yeah,
agreed. And just change that mentality that it's not somebody else's problem. Now it's all of our problem when we don't do it properly. I actually found a website, I'll send it to you, but you like just put in your basic diet, and then it tells you how much plastic that you're actually eating every week. And like the average person eats like a credit card's amount of plastic just from it being in the water, to the food that we eat, to everything.
Oh, it's insane. Like, I don't know, I thought like getting into conservation, okay, you don't have to put this on the interview, but like getting into conservation is the most depressing thing that has ever happened in my life. You know, because I mean, you honestly, like, you think you left your job and you want to help, but then you actually immerse yourself in the problem, and you see how big the actual problem is. An example would be, we go help some fisher folk and say, like, you know what, stop bombing the reef with dynamite. Stop picking these or catching these rare fish, because if you catch them, you're gonna kill the reef, because they're the ones kind of balancing all the seagrass and whatever and everything. Or like, stop catching sharks. You know, all these things. And then they come back to us and say, you know, we have no choice. There's nothing else we can eat. There's nothing else we can sell. And, you know, we can't, I mean, we're in an island full of rocks. We can't plant anything. And this is the only way we live. So, you know, you come back home and you're like, oh, what are we going to do? But like, I guess it comes back to I mean, kind of changes your mindset and says, okay, fine. Those problems will take a while, but problems like changing people's mindsets in the city to use Strawng, then that would help.
Yeah, exactly. Small, simple steps like that don't alter lives, because of course, exactly like that with the fishermen, like some people, their basic survival is at stake, and they're not worrying about, you know,
the endangered creature. And you just look at yourself and you're just like, oh no, you know, people think that, you know, they're like, oh, let's say the sharks or whatever, but they don't see the underlying problem of what you have to do to provide for like a community who does that or whatever. So
say, listen, I can protect the sharks so they live, but I'm gonna die instead. So I'm pretty sure we'd all do the same thing in their situation.
And it's so bad because the Philippines, I mean, good and bad, we're very blessed with like different islands and all these topographies and like archipelago of reefs everywhere. But because it's so remote, some people like barely still live without running water and electricity. And then they go to me and say, you're making me think about sharks, wherein I can't even think about lights and having lights or like running water at night. And I'm just like, oh no, what do we do?
Yeah. So that's when you just start with the easiest step there is, like, you know,
or
banning plastic.
Making a change, or like trying to make a change in the places you can for now, because obviously we can't solve that problem overnight. And if I like dwell on that, it's like you're gonna get anxiety and you're just gonna, I don't know, have lockdown anxiety or something like that. So
yeah, take care of yourself before you can take care of others.
No, and I guess because like with technology, let's pretend there's no lockdown and COVID. With the way our modern lives are, there is a way for people to balance career and make a difference as well. Online volunteering is a lot of help. Like for example, I saw your questions. This is something you asked, like what are the things we should look forward to that I'm excited for? Is I saw that, you know, a lot of people still rely on the ocean, like fishermen and everything. And it's actually been declared that the poorest of the poor in the Philippines are not the farmers anymore. It's the fishermen. And they've become the poorest of the poor because of all the plastic in our ocean and because our seas are getting overfished. They can't catch enough anymore. There's not enough left for everyone. So what I realized was, you know, I had quite a lot of time here and the kids of the farmers are here and they're not in school. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna teach you guys how to scuba dive for now because I have a lot of spare gear. So I started teaching them, and then, you know, their dads started watching us dive and they're asking us, oh, what did you see? You saw a turtle? Really? Whatever. And they're like, okay, I won't eat it anymore. And I go, oh, you're eating turtle friend. But anyways, that's not the point. No, but so something we're gonna do is like, so I decided that, you know what, look how much of a impact it has caused in the small community we have of fishers here, literally just over here. But what about trying to change the livelihood or give more livelihood to fishermen around, let's start around the Philippines or like around Luzon, and then, you know, just instead of them relying on the sea, why not teach them some ecotourism? And of course, Tagalog and the different languages in the Philippines is not my strongest suit. So all of the teaching materials for scuba diving is in English. So it was a big challenge for me. What I did was texted up or messaged some of our volunteers and said, hey, those good in Tagalog, help me out, translate this and like draw some images for me and everything. And you know what? That helped a lot. And those teaching materials are really like going around and like everyone's into it, even their parents and stuff. So, you know, people can really help make a difference if, you know, even if they're stuck at home or they're on another career and stuff. So yeah,
that's so cool. And yeah, it's just exactly what you do for them, bringing them out and actually seeing the animals and seeing the impact it makes on his children and everything like that. Just making it personal for people.
Yeah. So yeah, and like, you know, it's just so, I mean, I guess maybe because we assume so much that because if we live by the ocean, we go visit it a lot. A lot of them who live by the ocean, they haven't even seen what's below. They haven't seen the turtle, they haven't seen, and I go, what, you guys live right beside the turtle and you haven't seen the turtle? So taking them out and then they're going like, oh wow, it's actually really nice. And that's why we have to protect it. And you know, it's amazing. And it's not just for the people who live right beside the coast, but also I'd like to urge people when we can from Manila, you know, oh, and some of my friends who live in Manila now who still haven't gone diving.
Look at that.
To come, yeah, right there. No, to just look how lucky and how beautiful it is. Then, you know, it's just like a spark. People just go like, you know what? I can help protect it. by starting to stop using single-use plastics. And a lot of my friends, they come over or they text me and go like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? I go, I have a beach cleanup, you want to come? And they're like, yeah, I'll tag along. They don't really know, right? And then when they actually arrive on site, and I think I urge everyone, like your company, when we're ready, I can take you guys out, even just like an hour away from Manila. And like, you're gonna see how many plastic straws you pick up. And a lot of them are, you know, recognizable brands that we buy from and use. And you're just like, was this the coffee I drank yesterday? Is it this one? Or is it this? I mean, and it telling people about it and saying like, okay, you know what, we have to stop using plastic straws. They'll be like, yeah, I know that. But if you actually take them to pick up their own plastic straws, they're gonna be like, okay, I'm really never gonna use plastic straws again. So, yeah.
Exactly. You can read about a stat, but until you're actually out there seeing the problem, it's not going to resonate with you. Speaking of that, and like how you're already making a ton of efforts to bring like that ocean beauty into people's lives. I know that like photography is a passion of yours and means a lot to you, and it can be like an outlet of bringing the beauty of the ocean right directly to people who maybe aren't on the water every day. Like, can you I guess expand on that a little bit?
Okay, it's actually quite a funny story. I started scuba diving and I was watching all these photographers and I was like, I am never ever gonna be a photographer. The camera's bigger than themselves or whatever. Anyway, so me and my team, when I started out with one of my scuba diving teams, we went to Costa Rica. And I usually stay as the safety diver, as the instructor there, and like I make sure everyone's good or whatever. But that time we went to Costa Rica, everyone was kind of like an expert and I didn't have to watch out for them or whatever. So one of the photographers was like, okay, I have an extra camera and you're gonna bring it down because this camera that I have is for wide angle, and if I need another camera for macro, like small things, at least it's with you. I was like, yeah, for sure. And he's like, oh, and you can also like kind of try taking videos and photos. Oh my God, it's so fun. So I was just like, holy shit, the moment I got back to the Philippines, I was just like, okay, I'm buying a camera. And I used to go on trips and everything, and I go underwater, and then even just like small scale, my family asked, oh, what did you see? And I explained, I saw this, and this. But this trip to Costa Rica, I actually brought home some pictures and videos, and it was like blowing their mind, and now they want to go. And I was like, wow, the impact of it. And now they understand why I keep wanting to go back. So I was like, okay, so the power of visual arts, yeah, and it's hella fun. So that's how it worked out.
Yeah, you're hella good at it too. Sometimes I think like you're sharing like other people's posts, and then I look, I'm like, oh shit, she actually took these. These are really nice. I think, what was it, like the father clownfish, like protecting all those little Nemos and like those little bubbles? That was crazy.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'll show you. I have the mom and the dad, and they were hugging the baby. I was like, oh, it's so cute. So that time when we found so I was going, it's insane. Like I've been going to the same reef almost every day, and every day I meet a new creature, and it just is like, it's amazing. And you know, I would think that after 6 weeks I get sick and tired of the same site, but no, like everything happens, and it's like, you know, you're keep making new friends and stuff. And like I went back to Nemo. Clownfish eggs only they hatch after about a week. So I only had 7 days, and you know, every day I was seeing, oh my God, they have eyes now. Oh my God, this one has a heart or whatever. And then when I went back and they were gone, I was like, oh, they didn't say goodbye to me. I'm so sad.
Grow up so fast.
I know, and I was like, I can't believe they didn't say goodbye after all the time I spent with them. God.
Speaking of, what like sea creature do you think is your heart animal, or do you connect with the most?
Okay, so I've always loved dolphins so much, and this is why I'm saying conservation is a journey, because when I was in the first grade, I went to SeaWorld in Florida, in Orlando. Mm-hmm. And oh my God, it was the first time I've ever seen a dolphin. And that was when I told my parents, I was just like, Mom, when I grow up, I'm gonna be a marine biologist. That girl in that scuba suit with the dolphins, that's gonna be me. And of course, like at that time, we went to Ocean Park and all these different things in Hong Kong and Singapore and stuff. And then we kept going to aquariums because I was obsessed with them. But as I grew up and like I started volunteering, I realized how bad captivity was. And now, you know, having mammals in captivity are actually really bad. But then again, I come to think about like how much it has inspired like people like me to go into conservation. So maybe there would be a balance for the industry to figure out wherein they don't have to be in captivity, but more of like an eco-tourism sort of thing. Because they can't just completely shut or stop letting humans interact with mammals, right? Because like I just needed to see a dolphin once and then I fell in love and it's just like haunted me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, true. It's like with zoos and everything, like would a lot of people donate to, you know, funds that help protect tigers if they had never even seen a real tiger at their local zoo, but that tiger is just like in a jail cell. It's a weird conundrum.
Exactly. And like, of course, as in all industries, they say that they're rescue dolphins and they don't release, you know, there's so many conspiracies and everything, but I think bottom line, there needs to be a way for people to get inspired. And not a lot of people can go out into the open ocean and meet a dolphin, right? I mean, it's really rare. So I don't know. I mean, it should be a journey or something, but yeah, I'm basically a dolphin.
I'd see the resemblance, the smile. I actually just read yesterday, there's a small group in the US of people that are against dolphins because they think that they're going to overthrow humanity. Giving them a lot of credit.
I'm team dolphins.
I think the earth would be happy if dolphins overthrew humanity.
Oh my god, but dolphins are just like super naughty and you think they're angels, but really they're not.
Yeah.
They're hella smart. Like,
incredible.
and I've interacted with so many marine wildlife, sharks, all these giant mantas, octopus and everything. Oh my god, the dolphin, when you see it and you're in its presence, it's really looking at you in the eye and you're really like, do I move or do you move? And it moves and then I move and you're communicating with it. It's just, and then of course I wanted to scream because the dolphin is so cute. So I did. I screamed and then a lot of bubbles came out and it just copied me. It screamed, like it made a sound and then bubbles came out and I just cried like a baby.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
True bonding with nature at its finest.
Yeah, I think like if at that moment I was like, this has made my life, I can die now. This is everything I ever thought of. Oh god.
Damn, that's much better. My first experience with dolphins was we were like just kind of walking around in shallow water off the Carolinas or something, and then like I was super young, so I didn't even really know what dolphins were, I guess, and then just like a bunch of fins just kind of came up right next to us and freaked out. So just like ran back to shore, but ran all over coral and everything like that, and ended up having to have stitches, but like bleeding and crying on shore. Like looked out there and just realized they were dolphins just like jumping up and down. So I guess I was crying too with my first dolphin experience like you, but yours was much more of a wholesome experience than mine was. But
it was funny.
Dolphins.
Oh my god, you're so happy though. Like, I bet you thought they were sharks, and you're like, oh my god, they're gonna eat me.
Oh, that's exactly what I thought they were. And they were super close too. Like they're probably like, I don't know, 4 or 5 meters away from us, but I definitely thought they were sharks.
Oh my goodness.
Cool. So I guess maybe we can start to wind it down. I know you got to get out there and get into the water with all this talk of the water. Do you have any simple everyday steps that people can actually take to live a more sustainable life without drastically changing how they go about their day?
Okay, well, I would kind of like to set small goals for myself, like how I would treat myself when I want to go on a diet. Like, let me give up a few of these carbs and a few of these sugars and everything. Now, I urge and encourage everyone to do the same. If they can do without using single-use plastic, that would be amazing. Especially, let's say, for example, I'm planning a surprise for my best friend's birthday. Now I'm gonna go get all the things I want to buy and everything. Now, just a simple choice of buying reusable or what do you call this? Or a biodegradable product for straws and cups and plates rather than buying all these single-use plastic, you can imagine how much you'd already help and save. And you don't have to just do that for when you have events. It's also like, you know what, maybe next month I'm gonna try out this bamboo toothbrush because I just found out that every single toothbrush I've used since I was born is still existing and floating in the ocean somewhere. And if I can switch to a bamboo toothbrush next month, and I think that would already help, and maybe I could tell another friend about it and everything. So, you know, it's just, number one, make goals for yourself. Number two, share it with somebody. And number three, and I think number three is the most important for anyone who asks me, is go out and look at what you're saving. Whether you go do a vacation when you can, or, you know, start with little YouTube videos or watch Night on Earth on Netflix and all these things. Seeing it in person really changes your mindset and it helps you with your goal, which number one is slowly changing your lifestyle. So yeah.
That's good. I like that. Write it down and share it with somebody too. Keep you accountable. It's very good.
Exactly. And because like, if you notice, if you do workouts on your own, you have a hard time. But if you have somebody who's pushing you, or you're sharing the same water fast or diet or whatever, both of you are like, oh, I'm lazy today, and the other one's like, no, I did it, so you have to do it. So yeah, I think that's really, it's
harder to let somebody else down than it is to let yourself down. So
yeah, and peer pressure is strong.
Yes, it is. So yeah, I guess is there anything else you want to like touch upon more, like any Reef Check upcoming webinars or projects or anything like that? Or
okay, well, actually, what we're gonna do after lockdown and the quarantine is we're gonna try to help the ecotourism and the tourism industry bounce back. With this, we're gonna do some eco tours or beach cleanups where people can participate, and of course, help the communities that had really gotten hit. Like, let's say Anilao, Batangas, where diving is their main source of income, will not open till around September. And the thing is, a lot of them, especially the boat drivers and the people who help you during your dive, they live day to day. Currently, a lot of the divers have been giving back and like providing for food and everything, but of course that can't be their life. Now, fishers and everything have also been hit really bad by this one. So again, we're making the program where we're training not only volunteers and eco divers who want to be part of the thing, but they can actually nominate a fisherman or a child of fisherman, and we're going to train them to join the ecotourism, join the resorts, and, you know, just kind of like, for example, a normal boat driver who either fishes or caters to divers, we're going to kind of teach him to also be a snorkeling guide tour. So instead of just relying on tourists to come and somebody else bringing them, he can be like, oh, if you have I can be the one to take you out on my own, and I could be the one to teach you, and, you know, generate a lot more income. So number one, if anyone wants to volunteer in teaching, they can sign up. Number two, if they want to come and join the class or even learn themselves, then they can sign up. And number three, which is also kind of the most important, especially during this time, because, you know, everyone's eyes and ears around, we know who needs help. If they want to nominate anyone who needs the training, who needs a new livelihood, who's been affected, then they can also send that in, and yeah, we'll be working with them as well. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. We'll definitely include any information on all that in it too. Just empowering people the right way. Bravo.
Yeah, and I guess like going with the times, because I think especially now, like, people are changing industries and the new normal or whatever, we have to find ways to adapt. So yeah.
True. Well, yeah, if there's nothing else, we'll let Manila's mermaid / the human dolphin get ready for her upcoming dive.
Yeah, I'm ready already, actually. I just have to put on the gear.
Thank you so much again.
No problem. Thank you.
Enjoy the dive, Vani. Talk soon.